It was a cold, dark night, and I had just sat back with a stiff drink and the daily rag to collect my thoughts. Even though I don't smoke, the cigarette burns in an ashtray because it looks cool when you backlight such things. My mind keeps wandering about that elusive dame I met down on the tracks. She's always spinning her wheels and says she's playing me on the level. Me? I think her track is bent, and I don't believe her when she says she can help me out by adding a certain flair to what I do. Then again, I could take her up on it, and just maybe, if I use her carefully and play my cards right, she can make me look good. Oh, that dame. Her name is Dolly, and she's got a date with destiny.
You know, there's just something cinematic about a cool dolly or tracking shot. Throughout the history of film and TV, cameras have been mounted to nearly every imaginable form of transportation, from your wheelchairs to automobiles to office furniture to even homemade jobbers, all for the sake of adding a little cinematic flair to a production. Now, if you're like me and you've experimented with mounting your camera to anything with a set of wheels, you've probably seen how varied your results can be. Sometimes great, and other times too shaky. And unfortunately, if you're trying to pull off a cool dolly shot and it's done poorly, well, it just screams amateur. So let's have a look at some common mobile devices for moving your camera. Okay, Billy, you can go now. Thanks for the push.
You bet, Ray.
The good old wheelchair dolly. Probably one of the most handy and common items you can get for this. Didn't take me long to scrounge this one up, and it probably didn't take Robert Rodriguez long to figure out he could wrangle one of these up on the cheap and use it exclusively for his dolly moves in the low-budget feature El Mariachi. Now, one can question the steadiness and value one of these brings because, well, for one, they're not that steady. The camera person has to sit in the chair and mount the camera up on their shoulder and then bolster any moves the body makes while being pushed. Does it work? Well, heck yeah. For this particular flick, it added a certain charm. To make it work in your productions, well, think out your shots first, then practice, practice, practice. This is probably the cheapest and most effective dolly I've ever used, the good old homemade skateboard dolly. It ensures a smooth ride, and if used carefully, no one's going to be able to tell the difference between this and a dolly that costs thousands. But there are some drawbacks, in my opinion. For one, you're kind of limited in track length, 10, 12, I suppose you could use 20-foot PVC pipe. But if you use that creatively, well, you can probably get by with that. To me, the biggest drawback is its portability. Depending on what kind of vehicle you drive, hauling 10 or 20 foot of track around could be difficult. Also, the platform, it's kind of big and bulky and it kind of weighs a little bit. So it's not really ideal for some of those of us who fly solo or who are always on the go. This, however, is ideal for those of us who are on the go. This particular dolly and track are what I've used for numerous stock footage shots and for other productions as well. It's called micro dolly, and it's perfect for those of us who do things on the cheap and who work alone. You see, to operate it, the camera and the tripod fit along this little dolly platform, and the camera operator would push or pull this thing by his or herself. It's very smooth, and it glides along the tracks really easily. Not to mention, if you ever want to take it with you.
All right, fold up the tripod, disassemble that, fold it up, fold these like this, bend them down. All right, stack them up there, get them in the bag, da-da-da.
You fold it up, and the whole thing fits in this soft case. Portable dollying and trucking moves with a little practice will have you looking like a pro. Now, speaking of dollying and trucking, we should probably shed a little light on the terminology of these camera moves.
The terms dolly and truck are often used interchangeably. When you dolly, you physically move the camera forward or backward. Likewise, to truck means to physically move the camera straight to the left or to the right. If you've got a way of doing it, you can also do an arc move with the camera. If you're like me and you work 99% of the time by yourself and you want to pull off cool camera moves, well, then you need to get clever.
Playing on the wall behind me here are a series of shots that I've done pretty much alone with that micro dolly setup that we talked about earlier. Now, this is another bit of shameless self-promotion, but if you look at these shots, well, they've all got something in common. What is it? Well, I'm trucking or tracking in each shot instead of dollying. Why? Well, to dolly in or out means that I have to increase or decrease the distance from my subject. And to do that, I also have to pull focus while moving the camera, while tilting, and it's all just a little bit difficult to do on your own. But with a trucking shot, I can get my subject a certain distance away, lock the camera down, and then concentrate on the most important part of this technique. That's moving the camera. Now, I'm not saying to never dolly, just to be creative when setting up shots on your own. To illustrate a camera move using the trucking technique, I'm going to set up a little scene where the camera and the moves that I make with it play an important part in revealing things in the scene. It's going to help, not hinder the shot. So, if you're as annoyed as I am right now at the constant moving of this camera, then good. That's gratuitous camera movement just for the sake of moving a camera. Now, don't do this. If you're going to go through the effort, at least do a little planning first to determine whether the shot needs a move or not. Is it going to help or is it going to hurt? And be honest with yourself. Okay, Billy, you can go back to moving it.
Thank you, Perry.
Now, for our purposes, I feel like this scene needed a camera move to help fulfill it, and it was well thought out. So, let's see what our villainous friend Dolly is up to in this scene called The Femme Fatale.
Oh, it was a night like no other. My dogs were barking from another hard day of hitting the pavement, so I just kicked back to relax and put this miserable day behind me. Then I hear a noise that'll end up changing my life forever. Ah, yes, that figure, that alluring dame. No, it's not Dolly. It's Dolly's best friend, Truxie. And even though my gut tells me this is a setup, my gut's not the one doing the thinking for me. And seeing how I'm a sucker for a gal that moves side to side, the thought of a setup didn't seem that important. Dolly. I knew Truxie was just a decoy.
Let's recap, shall we?
All right, let's see. Let's get my sawhorses out here, get my makeshift table. Excellent, and a piece of glass for the top. Good. Some props, put them there for now. Time to pull out the old dolly, unfold that, get the tracks into place. And the platform, good. Get my tripod and a camera. Excellent. And, oh yeah, I need a chair for myself. Good. And for lighting, 300-watt guy for the window light and the blinds on the background. Looks good. And okay, how about, a couple more props, fill those a little bit. Excellent. And one more light for silhouetting me, a little 250-watt guy.
All right, so there you go. Whatever means you use to move your camera, just be sure to think out the moves ahead of time. Write your setups down on paper and just try to visualize them first. That way you can avoid the curse of the gratuitous dolly. Sounds like there might be a sequel there. Well, that's about it for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Good luck. Faster, Billy, faster! Woo!
Okay, Perry.